After rope climbing the height of Everest or attempting to swim between Caribbean islands while tied to a tree, you might be tired. Ross Edgeley? He wasn't. On November 4th, a 33-year-old athlete adventurer became the first to swim around the mainland of Great Britain. He completed the nearly 2,000-mile trip after 157 days at sea, swimming 12 hours per day. The man who completed that swim, Ross Edgeley, joins me now to discuss. Ross, thank you so much for being here and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So we are so excited to have you here. We've been talking about you all morning. I think the question on everyone's mind is why? Why did you decide to do this?
It's a good question. I mean, I was asking myself the same question, all the way around. I think, certainly growing up, you'd hear stories of great adventurers and explorers. And there was always this one in particular. This is one story that always stuck with me, which was Captain Webb. So in 1875, people believed that the English Channel was too cold, the tides were too strong, and you couldn't actually cross it. But he looked across the English Channel in a woolen wetsuit, and I love this part, on a diet of brandy and beef broth, and swum breaststroke all the way across because, and I quote, front crawl was ungentlemanly-like. So for me, swimming around Great Britain had that same sort of feel to the English Channel.
Any brandy and beef broth for you?
That wasn't on the diet this time, no.
Well, over the months you were out there, you had to overcome freezing temperatures. How did you stay safe and keep going?
Yeah. I mean, health and safety was absolutely paramount throughout, just because certainly the coast around Great Britain is renowned for its unpredictability. Also, you have things like the Corryvreckan in Scotland, so that's a giant whirlpool. And even around the top, actually, the Penland Firth, if you get it right, then you're traveling at 8.7 knots. So, that's kind of a cruising speed of a slowish dolphin. But if you get it wrong, you're also going back the speed of a dolphin. So really it was understanding currents and tides, and although you'd finish your swim, it was about doing the homework for the next day as well.
And that's a lot going on. And Ross, you mentioned that whirlpool. What was the craziest thing you encountered out in the ocean?
I think it has to, probably the whirlpool, but not for the reasons many people think. So throughout that whirlpool, the captain turns to me, Matt, and he said, look, you have to swim hard. You have to get clear of the whirlpool. So I was swimming as hard as I could, but halfway through swimming through it, I got stung by a jellyfish. But this one particular jellyfish, it was just searing into my skin, and the pain just wouldn't go away. So for about 4 hours, I tried to swim through it until I popped my head up and I turned to Matt, the captain. I said, Matt, I've been stung, but the pain, it's still, it's still really, really painful. It's on my skin. And he looks at me and he said, yes, I know, because you've still got the tentacle on your face. So I'd been swimming while wearing a jellyfish. So I managed to unpeel the tentacle from my face. But then it had stung my face so bad, Henna, that my eye sockets were puffed out. My face changed shape. So I had to basically put my goggles on and punch them into my face so they'd seal with water. So that was probably the weirdest story.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. So, Ross, I've been doing some research on you this morning. Why did you decide not to tie yourself to a tree this time? Was this the hardest challenge you've ever endured?
Yeah, I felt I didn't want to do this one with a tree. I think so. We previously I swam from Martinique to St. Lucia in the Caribbean to raise money for charity. So when I was swimming between those 2 points, the tides and the currents were so bad. So I tried to swim from St. Lucia to Martinique, which said 40 kilometers, but I was 5 kilometers short when the tide turned on me. And then swimming back the other way, I decided to go for a second attempt. So altogether, I actually swam over 100 kilometers for 32 hours, but I still didn't touch the beach. So it still wasn't island to island. So that's why in some ways the Great British Swim without the tree was kind of me with unfinished business with the ocean.
I love hearing about your adventures, Ross. What's next for you?
Honestly, right now, I've got to learn to walk again, just because I basically skipped leg day for 157 days. So right now, I'm trying to learn to walk again. I was walking around New York yesterday, and I was still a little bit wobbly on my feet. So trying to learn to walk again, and then maybe, I'll get in the sea with or without a tree. I don't know.
Well, we love having you here, and honestly, Ross, the physical and mental discipline that you've endured is really incredible. Not many people would be able to do this.
Thank you. Yeah. I think that was it. It became, less about the swimming and, more about that sort of mental fortitude that we've been speaking about ever since. And that was great on the entire Red Bull vlog series, that people tuning in realised it was less about the swim and more, for instance, first day of autumn, I never forget, I had to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and do a night swim, but I had to just scrape a thin layer of ice off the wetsuit before I got in. So it became more about that than the swim, which was great.
Well, really an amazing story, Ross. Thank you so much for being here on Cheddar Big News. Again, we were so excited to have you. We really appreciate it. And one more time, congratulations on everything you've done.
And thank you so much. Thank you.